Hello everyone, Shannon Guss here getting you ready for a finale exit interview for Australian Survivor Australia v World. If you haven't seen the finale from Sunday night, please click away. This is not the space for you. We do have an exit interview click away, with Janine, who was a finalist in the season. And we got a lot of great insights from Janine. Some things we'd assumed even on the recap that I did 10 minutes before doing this interview, Janine cleared up. So it was great to chat to her. Janine's also like such a legend. Like what an honor always to get her on the podcast. So this was a fun one. In case you missed it, a lot of content already today. We posted the exit interview with Parvati, which was such a thrill. There was a recap with Puya and Mike and Chappelle, which was a big one and a really fun one. So go check that out. To come, we have a lot. Remember to stay subscribed. WeKnowGlobalSurvivor.com. Follow me at Shannon Guss, where I'll post all of this content, but we have exit interviews with Sari coming out in under 24 hours. I've got Cass coming out the next day as well. I'm hoping to get Luke. I think I will get Luke, but it hasn't been scheduled yet. So sometime this week. I'm also looking to do deep dives. I'm kind of open to deep dives with anyone, but I am in talks with Parvati, hopefully, to do a deep dive with her, which would be the coolest thing ever. So really excited about that. We also have a show coming up with Rob, a Rob Reacts podcast coming up in, I don't know, Wednesday, Australia time, Tuesday, America time, and all the other time zones. Please work it out for yourselves. I can only do so many, but this has been such a fun time. Thank you all for listening. Hope that you enjoy this exit interview, and I will see you on the other side. Bye. Janine, always such a pleasure and an honor to speak to you. We are not worthy of having you on Survivor, let alone twice, let alone I get to podcast with you. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Oh my God, my pleasure.
Janine, I have so many questions for you. The first one being, okay, probably a lot of questions maybe that the jury had as well, to be fair. So Pavi and Sari, tell me where this relationship came from. I know that Pavi has a relationship with David, who got taken out early. How did this become like a final alliance to get to the final four?
Yeah, look, I think they didn't show a lot of it, but I put a lot of work into Sari and for Parvati as a relationship. I'm sort of someone that goes, how do I get to the end? And you'll notice in the Survivor Luke and I said divide and conquer. So we wanted to push on doors and see, because as you know, we're in the minority. So we were pushing on doors and Luke was not getting anywhere. And the world people weren't even talking to us. So we couldn't get anywhere. And so I was pushing on. So Sari and I actually had a beautiful relationship and we actually got along really, really well and we had a connection. And which was genuine. So it was actually really difficult for me, even though I wouldn't have turned on Luke, it was really hard for me because I know her backstory and I know how important it was for her to sit on that final three. So it was very difficult for me to write Luke's name, even though for me, I wouldn't have done that to Luke. But no, so our relationship with Parvati and Sari was being formed very early. And pretty much as soon as I sat on that island, I was working on that relationship. So for me, that was a really important one. I always go, where's my path to the end? And I'm very, very strategic into, right, how do I get there?
Yeah, well, okay, so Parvati's like a former winner. Sari has never got there, but people think she should have won some seasons. You obviously have had that as well, and Luke has had that as well. Was there any concern about sitting with them? Was there ever a consideration between you and Luke about taking a shot earlier when you had some of the control and the idols and the necklaces that Luke had at like a 7 or a 6 or a
Yeah.
5 at that point? Yeah.
Look, you would have, should have, could have. You've got to also remember though, I don't get to see their game. I'm in my world, right? And I see versions of it because they're off talking and so you don't really see what their game is. Now, my sort of view was that every single person on that island at some point would have a very good story and a very good argument to win. And so my view was get to the end and make some moves and have an argument at the end. So I didn't know until very late that Parvati's game was as strong as it was. And, if I'm going to lose, I was very happy to lose to Parv. And so for me, there was opportunity to take Parvati out, but I wouldn't have got to the end. So you've got to kind of make this sort of choice of the world for me. They might have taken us in and done it, but they would have just picked us off. And in fairness, I think I'm fairly strong, but I wouldn't back myself in to win an immunity necklaces to be able to get me through. So I had to get through with relationships and strategy, not necessarily pure grit.
Yeah. At that final four, because Parvati wins the necklace, if Parvati is vulnerable, do you think you guys are voting for Parvati or do you think it's always Suri?
In a sec. Parvati was,
Parvati. Okay.
yeah, no. So if Parvati had lost, 100%, we all three of us would have gone Parvati. Now we didn't have that
Oh.
conversation with Sari at that point, but from conversations you have and reading between the lines, like, oh, you haven't won. Oh, Parvati's won. Oh, how nice for us she's got there and we haven't experienced it. Like, there's no question that if Parvati did not win that final, we would have taken her out.
Do you think Sari, well, something I can ask her, but do you think she would have gone with you on that?
I don't like, I can't speak for her, but
Yeah.
I think that we would have given a very, very good argument. And I think that even Parvati would have gone, nah, I get it. She would have gone, Sari's never been to the end. And look, whether we would have beaten Sari, who knows? I mean, I think she's got this magic dust. You just
Yes,
love her, right?
I
She's
get
a
it.
very hard person to not love. And so would have I beaten Sari? Who knows? I think I would have voted for her. So but I do believe that even Parvati would have got, and that's why I think she was so emotional, because I think she knew that there was a very good reason for us three to say, we love you, but.
Yeah. So in terms of the relationship with Luke, was there ever a consideration for you to turn on him at that final four, or were you kind of always in it with Luke at that point?
Oh, look, I think that you never say never. Like, there's always, you have to, you've got nothing else on that island to sit and think about the game, right? So you do go, let's look at every scenario, and obviously you go, I have a leaning towards Luke no matter what. But you do look at every single scenario and go, okay, what if I do this? What does that mean? What if I do that? What does that mean? And I think that I actually do truly believe that Sari or Parvati, they had such strong games in their own right. I don't think Sari over Parvati or Parvati over Sari was sort of a thing.
Yeah. When you looked at the jury, who were the specific jurors and the relationships that you had, or the people you thought would credit your game? Who did you kind of single out that you hoped would vote for you?
Oh, look, that was a really hard one. Like, there was Sarah asked me a kind of a weird question at Tribal, which I didn't quite understood, but I understood later, that I think Kirby was sort of told her something that wasn't actually quite right, and that's why I
Right.
turned around and went, "Hang on, did Janine not know that I was going?" So I think that was sort of a bit of a bit harsh because it was one of those things that I think Sarah could have voted for me if she hadn't not been misled, but had a misperception of what actually happened. I know Shani voted for Parvati, but I think Shani and I actually had funnily enough, a really honest relationship. She wanted me out from the start, and I wanted her out from the start. And it wasn't because any other reason that's kind of, we were always the loose ends that people, it was either her or I. So we actually got along quite well on the island, and I think we found humor in our predicament. And so, potentially, maybe at a different life, Shani, I think Tommy, obviously, as you know, the speech goes for 20 minutes, not 2.5 minutes. And so I was hoping that, presenting the game, that I could have got other people, but who knows? They've had very strong relationships with Parv. Parv played a very holistic game. So she won immunity, she won necklaces, she found idols, she was like, so her game was very holistic. And so it was a very, hard one, as I said, and I said to her, God, I was thrilled to be sitting next to her at final three, and very happy to be beaten by her.
Yeah, did you feel like there was like a bit of a perception to push against? We find this often in Australian Survivor with like older women that people kind of, I don't know if what's just like ingrained in them. I mean, I think the way people were speaking about you, like we said with Janine, but Luke is such a threat, and like Luke and you have played similar games, except actually you took out Kirby. You've otherwise done a lot of things together. We see you often telling Luke what to do. Is that to you, I think, a personality thing where Luke is like loud and very Luke and you are kind of more puppeteering in the shadows? Or do you think that there really is that almost bias to that you're working against, which is absurd because you're Janine Allis, and like I think you walk into any room in Australia and you're like the person, then you have these people who are talking about you like that or to you like that. I'm kind of angry on your behalf. I think there is a perception there, but I wondered if you felt that out there or if you think that that's a factor.
Look, I do. I play a more subtle game, no question, right? So my game is very much, you barely saw me in the first half of it, and that was deliberate. right? Because I knew that I was a an easy vote. So I had
But
to,
why are you an easy vote? Do you know what I'm saying? Like that in itself is the crazy thing to me.
because in the Survivor world, yes, there's the Godmother sort of title, but there were so many you saw the personalities, right? They were huge, right?
You were
And
Janine Allis. Like, anyway, I'm angry on your behalf. I think it's ridiculous,
thanks,
but yeah.
Jen. You're right. I suppose from my point of view, I go, George is, very loud, George,
Yes.
and David and like they're all very big players and they all come out swinging. So you've got people swinging left, right. You just basically ducking your head down all the time, right? And so for me, I was like, okay, I just need to let them swing at each other, eat each other, which they did. And then I went, right, okay, I need to get to this point and then play. So, and look, don't think at any point I wasn't playing the whole time. I was playing the whole time. I was, you're very conscious of, I always do that. What do you think of the name? And I have a name in my head. And if they don't say the name I want them to say, I will go, hey, have you considered da 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 da? And that's how I've played. That's how I played the first season. That's how I played the second. In actual fact, I probably put a few names out the first bit early and got myself into a bit of trouble. So I do play very subtly. And also with the Kirby vote and also with the Sarah vote, I knew what I was doing with Kirby, right?
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't want her to get Sarah out that quick. I kind of thought, oh, can you wait a little bit longer? Just a little bit quick. And then with, Kirby was a very deliberate move. Sari, the other thing with Sari is if they really were not smart because they're super smart, but the thing I was really concerned about at the end was I was the weakest on fire. I probably, in fairness, I can make a
Oh,
fire, but probably even weaker than Sari.
oh.
So if I was them, I would have put me up against
Yes,
Sari for
I
fire.
agree.
Saria would have got it. So I had to make sure that Sari and Parvati knew that I was going to vote with them, right? And I worked my guts out to make sure that if it was Luke and me, it was me, because I knew that Sari probably would have beat me in fire. And so I had to work really hard on that. And Sari is honestly, she can pick a lie. She's amazing at it. So I said things to her that I really admire her. It's true. I would love her to be set by final three. True. So everything I said to her was true, but I had to make sure that she knew she thought I was going to send Luke because if I was at fire, I wouldn't have made final three, I don't think.
Did you talk about that stuff in Final Tribal Council? Obviously, we only see part of it. You were the Kirby Slayer and you were the Cerise Slayer. I mean, I know Luke makes the fire, but you were the one who gets them to truly, it seems, believe that you were voting with them to get to this Final Four where Parvati's going to win, but Cerise not going to sit there. Did you talk much about how much work you would put into, as you said, lying to some of the greats and getting away with it, and Cerise goes out the door?
Yeah, no, totally. So I actually said exactly that at Tribal. I said that, I was very conscious of Sari can pick bullshit. She's very, very good at picking bullshit. And so I had to then work very hard with her because I said to her that I wouldn't be sitting here if Parvati and Sari did not believe that I actually was going to vote for Luke, I would have been doing fire, 100%.
Yeah, that was, look, you took Cerise out of the game. I'm upset about it, but I think,
No,
it's
me
it's
too.
well
I'm
done.
upset about it too.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, you,
she has an X factor.
She does. And the other thing is, the backstory. You have hours talking about, that she came so close sometimes. And so you want to give that to her. You want to give, and my view was, rightly, wrongly, more wrongly, that I thought, well, everyone's such good players. I mean, every single one of them on the jury could have made a very good argument to be the winner. So there was no, for me, I thought there's no goats, right? There's no one that you can just take because that they're they've played no game. So I just went, get me to the end and hopefully I can talk my way through, which clearly I didn't. But again, fair enough too.
So what did happen with Kirby? Like when you tell, we see it in the pre-merge that you tell Kirby about Sarah, and like I thought you did a lot of good work there because like it did implode at the merge, but you and Luke had been on the back foot from David, and really everyone else split. You had a big part, you and Luke, in sowing that chaos, even though they did a lot of it to themselves. But like, Shawnee was out the door when Sarah was immune, but you didn't go to tribal, you didn't end up going to the vote, and Sarah would have been out the door had she not been immune, and Kirby, they're all split. And that's really good pre-merge when you've been the underdogs from the very beginning. So what did happen in that interaction with Kirby, and what was your kind of viewpoint on doing that?
Was it as in putting Kirby up for as a name?
In putting Sarah up to Kirby.
Right. Okay. So what it was so Luke
Yeah.
I actually wanted to work with Sarah,
Oh.
to be honest, right? And then Luke came up to me and said, "Look, I'm working with Kirby, and let's stick together
I
with
saw
Kirby."
him do that.
Right. So
And then he acted surprised at the final tribal council.
I know. So I kind of went, okay, I'm with you, Luke. So if you want to go Kirby, I'll go Kirby. So I went, all right, I knew that Sarah was going to go for Kirby. So I went, being actually, I know that loyal word's a shit word in Survivor, but being a person going, if she's in my team, she's on my team. So I went there and said, look, just so you know, be very, very mindful of Sarah, right? Just be careful of that, right? So it wasn't done so she would vote Sarah out. It was done to cement trust, that you can trust me, right? I'm on your team. But the problem was what I didn't understand with Kirby at the time, because Kirby's a very good player and a very good social player. I didn't know that she had no intention of working with me. I didn't know that. So it was only when she didn't tell me about the Sarah vote, and then she didn't tell me about another vote, that I went, at some point, I'm the moron here. I'm the person and it was when I went to Sari, deliberately going, I'm going to feel this out. And that's when we went, right, let's get Kirby out, because if she's going to get me, she's going to get me first. The other interesting thing, that when we were actually at Tribal, where the whole Tribal blew up, it wasn't filmed, but I think Sari came to me at the last minute and said, I think it's Parvati. It's Parvati. And for me, if it was Parvati at that point, because the internationals had nothing to do with me, if Parvati went, I didn't know she had a necklace, then my game was in trouble. So it was actually me that turned around to Luke and went, hey, everyone get up and talk, because we cannot let Parvati go. So it was, and Luke was voting for, and Luke knew that, because I told Luke that we were going for Kirby, because I think when you're a team, you do it. But he wanted to prove to the world that he was with them, and that's why he voted with Sari. So in actual fact, it was sort of like I was over here, he was over here, but we're really together. So I said to him, just so you know, they're going for Kirby tonight.
Okay, well, thank you for clearing that up, because I thought that was really shocking that he didn't know. I was like, did you guys just not get a chance to like chat or something? So that was a big question mark
No,
as
we
well.
did. But then he might not have known, because what we also said with Luke and I, even though we were together, it was important we played our own game. But I protected him and he protected me. So, I mean, I think, and that's when he voted, put Sari's name down. I went, okay, you need to fix that, because quickly fix that.
Yeah, I think with Luke as well, like Kirby told him about Sarah and he was still kind of out of that. So maybe you told him and he also like didn't know it was like he maybe thought the worlds were choosing to go with him. So I think
No,
that's
and he could have thought that, which is
yeah.
not a bad thing, because then if the world were going for him, then he can scoop me up, and then equally, if it was the other way, I could scoop him up. So in actual fact, as a team, we were very good. Like, and what I like about Luke, and I've worked with him before, even though he did vote me out at 6. I knew how he played, and I know he's a squirreler, right? He can really squirrel in, and so I just went, oh my God, he'd be a great set. And I knew he's loyal, right? So I knew those two things, and I'm equally loyal. Look at P. Miranda. So the two of us, I knew that two of us is stronger than one. And so, and look, it proved, correct, because, it got to the end, and hey, it was a PB for me, because I was 6 last time, I'm 3 this time. So, hey, it's a win. I didn't get stuck.
Well, I wanted to ask you, like, why you keep gracing us with your presence. Like, you are in high demand as one of the most successful people in this country, and you keep coming to Survivor. And I'm like, I mean, I thought we were lucky to get you the first time for the extended season, even to get you on a shortened season here. I'm like, why are you doing this? I mean, keep doing it, but like, why and how are we getting you on our show? It doesn't even feel fair.
Oh, look, I love Survivor. I love it a game, and I love testing myself. I'm a bit of I'm probably more of a hippie than I am a businesswoman, and I love the thought of being put on a desert island and going and I really love the physical aspect of it. I love challenges, and I love the mental game of it. And I think I reckon I'm sort of a bit confused as you could say no. Why wouldn't you not? How could someone say to you, hey, have this great experience, and say no? I mean, I'm actually heading off to Maldives with Shan, Pia, Lydia, David, and Abby.
Oh, and Abby's coming with her baby?
Yeah, so
She does everything. She's
I know.
amazing.
I know. So and I mean, how do you not get friendships like you don't get friendships like that? I haven't even played with Shan and Lydia, and we're friends, right? So, so it is this very like it's about life's about living, and I think life's about not saying no. And so I'm very much like that. So yes, I have this other world, which I'm a businesswoman and do that sort of stuff.
Yes.
But I also love adventures and testing myself. And as you get older, I'm still saying more yeses and nos.
I think that's incredible. I think we were lucky to have you. I think that I always love watching you, always love talking to you. So great to chat to you as always, Janine, and thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
No, pleasure. And hey, you're doing a great job. I have been listening to a few of the podcasts, so well done.
Thanks, Janine. It's crazy to me that you listen. Again, like we don't deserve it. You're so busy. You don't have to listen to these podcasts. Like, please go live your life. Your incredible life. You're in the Maldives. Like, you're gonna be in the Maldives soon. That's
I
amazing.
know. I know.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. See
I
you
love
later.
that. Bye,
Bye.
Janine. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.